want to welcome you here again today for My Stroke Stories here on the Stroke Movers Facebook group. And it's a place, the group, for us to just share about functional activities, motivate one another, encourage one another, and help each other move forward. So today we have with us Noelle Young, and I want to welcome you, Noelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us where you're from?
I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Northport, Alabama.
Wow.
Now, I didn't grow up here,
Okay.
but I do live here now. I've lived here for about 18 years now.
Okay, wow, that's quite a time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
time.
sweet. Yeah. And you have worked at a profession. I think that's a wonderful profession. You told me before. Why don't you share with our listeners just what you were doing up to the stroke and what was life like?
Okay. I'm a registered nurse. I've been working as a registered nurse for about 10 years. Of course, I can't do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get back to it.
Yeah.
Working hard to get back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sure.
I love it. Love taking care of patients. Giving people a reason to keep moving. Keep
Yes.
moving. Let's do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
And you have a very supportive family, I understand, too, from our
I
previous
do.
conversations.
I do. I have a wonderful husband. He's been there since day one. I mean, of course, since we got married, but
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
This all happened. I mean, he's been there.
Oh,
So,
that's so
yes.
wonderful. So what happened? How did this all transpire with your stroke?
Okay. Well, it happened April the 26th, 2019. So not too long ago. I was actually going to the gym, or actually at the gym,
Wow.
and was doing riding a bike, and
Sure.
in a class.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, I started feeling kind of funny. Didn't quite understand what was going on. But I got off the bike and I was like, okay, well, maybe I need a drink or something, So I got
Sure.
off, and the next thing I know, my leg guard started to go numb. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, my nursing brain kicked in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, something's happening. This is a stroke.
You knew that
I didn't
right
want
away.
to say it was, I didn't want to say it,
Yeah.
but I knew it,
Wow. So it's just your leg. Did you notice anything with your arm or speech?
I knew my leg. Well, I felt my leg first,
Yeah.
and then it kind of moved up, and then I noticed my arm, and I couldn't even move it anymore. I mean, it was totally gone, the whole right side of my body.
Wow.
And I happened to be in a good facility where there were people there that knew what to do. There was nurse practitioners there to help me.
Wow.
There was an EMT that happened to work there.
Wow.
So they were able to assess me and get the help that I needed.
Oh.
So I think, all of that just it was a blessing.
Yeah. How long before you got to the hospital, do you think?
Oh gosh, let's see. It was about 10 minutes.
Wow.
From the time they called for
Yeah.
them to assess me and get there.
Wow.
And then, because they were trying to figure out, because I was talking, I was completely coherent, I was aware of what was going on. And then once I got to the hospital, that's when, started fogging out. Everything started, I started fogging out. I say that,
How long did that last?
Oh gosh, it took, honestly, from that time, it was probably a day.
Really?
I was asleep. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't remember anything, but I can remember what happened before, I can remember where I was at the gym. I can remember everything that happened, but after that, I couldn't remember anything.
Exactly. Right. So I'd like, there'll be some listeners, obviously the ones in the Stroke Movers, most of them will have had a stroke. So they have had their own experience, but there may be those listening who have never experienced a stroke, and maybe they don't know someone personally. But strokes are pretty, unfortunately, too common. and they do happen, and it's always a surprise, So I was wondering if we could just speak to that moment, because there's going to be people that will, maybe in the future, hope not, but may have a stroke, and they're going to come into the moment that you had when you finally woke up, and the reality that you'd had a stroke had happened. And could we pause at that particular moment anyway for you as best as you can, and just explain or describe what's going through your head, as best you can. I mean,
Okay.
as the reality of it kind of sinks in for that.
I understand what you're saying. Well, when I finally came, I was awake, and I'm looking around the room, and I guess it was ICU. At that time, I was in ICU.
Right.
I remember wanting to say things and tell people things, but I couldn't get the words out.
Right.
I remember them looking at me and then looking at my husband okay, obviously what I was saying was not what was coming out. Does that make sense?
Yes. Did you feel scared at that moment?
I was very scared, nervous. Just, I had no idea what was going to happen to me.
Yeah. What was your husband able to do at that moment? I mean, no one is perfect in all these situations, but what came to his mind and heart? How did he step in to reassure you or to let you know you weren't alone?
He would hold my hand. He would, tell me that everything was going to be okay.
Bless him.
And that, reassuring me that that I was in good hands.
Yeah.
That
so important. That's what you can say. It's what people feel at a loss of sometimes of what to say or how to communicate. But I think that's beautiful. Just those things, from your loved one, someone just saying it's going to be okay. We had another gal who did My Stroke Stories, and her husband was very cautious about what was even said around her at the time, so that who she wouldn't become more frightened and whatnot.
Yes. I know he would not let somebody come in there and start talking to me about all the stroke things, because I know what you're saying. I mean, that
I think it's important.
But it is good, once you start to be able to understand what's going on and, okay, this is happening to me. Yeah. Now let me know what do I need to do? And
when you were ready, yes. I think timing, it does say a lot, and we hope that healthcare professionals, and you and I are both that, you being a nurse and I a physical therapist, that there's a time when people can receive the reality of a situation, or even another piece of the reality. I don't think it all has to be said at once, obviously, but that next piece. So did you go into rehab pretty close to after being out of ICU, or how long?
I did. I spent about 3 days in ICU, and then another 2 or 3 days in a regular bed, I guess you'd say. And then I went to rehab, inpatient rehab, and was in there for about a month.
Wow.
Which, was good. And they were absolutely wonderful.
How did you feel the day you went into rehab? What was going through your head that day? You're being transferred, they said, to rehab. What was happening inside?
Well, I was like, how am I supposed to do this? I can't do this. At first I felt like I was overwhelmed with emotion, with, am I going to be able to do this? I'm scared. I was still scared, am I going to have another stroke? I worried about that too, Yes.
Do you think that being a nurse was helpful or a little harder than if you didn't have the nursing background? I don't know.
Well,
it could go both ways.
I think it's good. I mean, gosh.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard knowing that this stuff could happen again, that I could have another stroke.
Yeah.
It worried me. But at the same time, I was glad to have that background and that knowledge that I can do this.
Yeah.
And I can succeed. And knowing that time you made that comment about doctor saying, oh, 6 months, you're out of the window. That is so untrue.
I know
That is
it is.
so not
Let's
true.
preach that one. I tell you,
Yes.
I'm so saddened that people are left with
Yes.
that statement. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for you being a nurse, I mean, I think of myself
Mhm.
being a therapist. If that happens to me, at least I kind of know what's going to unfold. Like, you're going to be in rehab for a while, then there's going to be, hopefully not for everybody, I guess, but for some people,
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
can be more therapy, and at
Yeah.
least there's a avenue that you're going to be traveling down. I think for people who've never been in the whole medical world, everything is foreign, and I think that must be hard.
It is. I mean, yes, I've taken care of patients that have had strokes,
Hmm.
but I've never been a stroke patient
Right.
myself.
Right.
So for yourself, it's like, okay, this is different. This is a
Yeah.
different something that I've never experienced. Even though
Yeah.
I've had patients that
Of
were stroke
course. Totally.
patients.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's different.
And it seems
But
kind of
yeah.
unreal, doesn't it? Like, is this really
Oh,
me? I'm in this situation. I don't.
I
I
have
know. It's just
I have
hard.
asked myself that question so many times. What am I doing here? Are you
Yeah.
sure that I'm the patient? Really?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
But
So
and
is
that's
that?
why
Mhm, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Oh, no, you go
Um,
ahead. Mhm.
well, that's why I always want to tell people, we can do this. This is something that's doable.
Yeah.
It might not be exactly the same as what we were before,
Yeah.
but we can walk, we
Yeah.
can move,
Yeah.
we can do things,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it can be, and it's doable. It might take you 10 years, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can still do it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's doable,
Yeah.
and I want people to know that don't give up on
Yes.
yourself. Never
Absolutely.
give up.
Yeah, it's huge.
But
Attitude is huge, and
definitely.
hope is so important. And we need to be speaking those
Mhm.
things into the people that we work with, or ourselves, or our family member who's going through something, as hopeful things.
Sure. Yeah.
So as you were in rehab,
Mhm.
you did start seeing some improvement, I'm guessing.
I did. When I started walking, I looked around and I said, wow, I did that. I'm doing this now. And they're like, yes, you are, and then
Yeah.
eventually got to the point where I was, the doctors were like, wow, you're doing amazing. I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm able to get up, walk with it wasn't a cane. It was a, darn it. I can't remember the name of it, but
It's
it was
okay.
one of,
Hemi
yeah.
Walker or something?
Gimme Walker. Yes, thank
Uh-huh.
you. Gimme
Sure.
Walker.
Hmm.
Used that and was using it basically by myself at that point. I had
Wow.
people around me,
Hmm.
following me, but you know,
Yeah.
I was able to do it, and I was so proud of myself for that.
Oh, it's
And my
wonderful.
family in there watching me, and
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's it's amazing that you can do
Mhm.
that. You can do this,
Yeah,
and it.
yeah. What about the
Uh,
transition home? What was that day like?
That was, okay. That was different.
Mhm.
I have to say it was a little scary coming home because I, of
Mm.
course, didn't have the nurses and the
Yeah.
doctors there if I needed them right away.
Mhm.
But my family was there. They were able to make, you know, help me with the
Modifications?
bathroom,
Yeah,
use,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, they were wonderful.
Mm.
They've always been there. And that's something that I can't stress enough
Yeah,
to the family, to the caretaker, please,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
scared and they need help, but
yeah.
you help them in a little bit,
Mhm.
they'll start being able to do things by themselves.
Yeah,
You know, it took
yeah.
me a little while, but eventually I got to the point where I don't need you to go to the bathroom.
That's good. Were they
Yes,
able to kinda gauge how much help you needed from, week to week or whatever? Because sometimes
yes,
people will give too much for too long. That can happen too.
absolutely. My husband, he said, "Now you're going to do this." He would encourage me. He would say, "I know you can do this." So he would watch me, and eventually, he's like, "Okay, you got this."
Uh-huh.
So I mean, he was very encouraging, and that helps. To have somebody say, "You can do this." and monitor your changes, because like you said, if they never do that, then they'll always be doing it for you.
Yeah.
You can't have that, you got to move on up, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like a baby,
Yeah.
eventually they're going to be able to go to the potty by themselves. They don't need you to
Yes.
take them.
Yes. And I think that communication is really important. So the stroke survivor has to be willing to say, I want to try this, and then the caregiver has to be willing to give the time, because it's going to take more time to do the task if they're doing it more on their own. So there's got to be a lot of communication to say, I'm ready to try this, as well as the caregiver saying, come on, let's try it today. So, it's important, isn't it?
It is very important. Yes. Yes.
Do you feel like your relationship with your family has deepened through this experience?
Absolutely. I have a older daughter that's 23. She's actually a nurse. And then I have one that's 17 that is in high school still. So, there for a little while, we were kind of doing our own things. I had me going to work, my husband going to work, my oldest daughter getting out of school, getting her nursing career started. And then my oldest daughter getting ready for college, or getting ready to go to college.
Wow.
So we just kind of were doing our own thing, and okay, I'll see you later. But
right,
now,
before the stroke,
but now we're very much in tune with what our needs, with each other's needs. Oh, I need this, I need that, and
wow,
we can see that now, before we were so into our own selves, I guess I would say.
You bring up a beautiful point there, Noelle, and I just would like to pause and speak out of the stroke situation to families in general, because we have become a culture where we just can pass in the night, we're just passing ships. And, what were you missing out on when you were living that way before the stroke? You think about it.
Exactly. That's right. And my youngest, she said, we're so much closer now.
Wow.
And it brought tears to my eyes that this child sees this, and I'm like, wow, you're right. We are, so it's been, honestly, the stroke was a good thing. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it can be a good thing sometimes. And I'm a God-fearing person.
Yes.
So
yes.
I know sometimes things happen for a reason. God says, okay, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And this is going to make you better.
Yes. Yeah. That the jewels that he has to put into our lives sometimes come from hard circumstances, just like the real jewels. A lot of them are there's pressure underneath the earth that makes those diamonds, and
that's right.
Your family has been willing to make the adjustments, which is huge.
Yes, they have.
So where are you at now with therapy?
Well, I'm actually going, it's 4 times a week, but it's 2 OT and 2 PT for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. I'd gotten out of it for a little while, and then my doctor had recommended that I go back for a little while because I've got Botox, and the Botox helps with the spasticity that I have. And so he's really hoping that it will help my arm get better, get more use out of my arm.
Good.
With him. So that was so that's why he set that up.
Oh, good. So is that what you're facing mostly now in your arm, is spasticity?
A lot of spasticity in my arm, yes.
Okay.
So yeah.
How about your leg?
Yeah, I mean, I do have that there, but I'm able to move it a little bit better than before, of course. And it's coming. It's just getting that tone out around the knee, I guess, to be able to move it a little bit better, but it's getting there,
Good.
Yeah, it's just that my arm and my hand is really the part that, or the is what's really got a lot of specificity in it. So,
right. So are you a target kind of person? Do you like to set goals?
I do. Absolutely.
What you got going on your goal list?
Well, I'm hoping, and I've got my target at the year that I will not have to use my cane anymore. That's I would like to be able to go outside and be free of a cane.
Okay.
That would be amazing. I'm working on it. I mean, I can use or not use the cane around the house while I'm here inside the house, but when I go outside, I usually have it with me. Just because there's other people around me and I worry about somebody bumping into me. But honestly, if I have pretty good sense of balance.
Good.
So I can pick up things, I can bend over and pick things up.
Good.
So
Very good.
That's my goal.
Are you able to do household tasks?
I can wash dishes. I can fold clothes. I can actually, put them up.
Good. Wow.
In drawers. I can vacuum.
Right. Good.
Yeah. It's a progress. It's a work in progress.
Right.
Wiping things down, cleaning glasses and, windows. Yeah.
Are you able to use your affected hand to assist at all?
I do. I try to, turn on and off lights. I do try to encourage my hand to grasp things. I mean, it's hard because it sometimes doesn't want to do right, but I will encourage it and try to grab things and hold on. Like if I'm washing dishes, I can hold on like a plate, the end of the plate to try to wash it with my good hand, but hold it with the affected hand.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work and it's slow, but it, I could, eventually, yes, we'll get there. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I really am so thrilled. So just in parting today from our interview here, is there any word that you would give to somebody who's feeling a little discouraged today?
I would encourage them to please don't give up on yourself, to always look at the positive, look at what you've done now up to this point, where you started at and work from there, because you're always going to say, oh, well, I started here and I'm still here. You're not. You're actually not. Think about where you started.
Exactly.
Think about where you started and where you're at now.
Exactly.
And work harder.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need a little boost and not feel sorry for ourselves. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yes.
You can.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. I'm sure that'll be a good word for more than one person. For sure.
I hope so.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of My Stroke Story. It's a wonderful opportunity to hear the real life story of other stroke survivors. So if you've enjoyed this, I would invite you to also come and join us on the Stroke Movers. It's a Facebook group just alive with commentary about stroke and what it's meaning for other people, and most important, about functional exercise, because that's what we're serious about, is finding exercises that will actually meet our functional needs. I hope to see you on the Stroke Movers in the Facebook group.